What up, Wastelanders? Christopher here, Gaslands NorCal. Thanks for joining me once again for another conversion video. Now, I've done some team builds in the past, and I've done some highway patrol builds in the past. I think I've even done a highway patrol team build in the past. Well, a guy from the UK reached out to me and said that he really liked the style that I did, so I'm going to do it again. But this time, I'm just going to be doing a car. I'm going to be using this Shelby. And I'm also going to be using this Raptor. So it's going to be a Ford Highway Patrol team. Got some wheels going on. These are coming from Angel of Combustion. Awesome wheels. These are the ones I printed off myself. The decals are from Thomas Wynn Studios. Does some great decals. Check them out. So without further ado, let's get these baby apart and we will get them in the stripper and we will get going. Alright, so here we are all stripped and primed and ready to go. I'm going to be using the Monument Hobbies Pro Acrylic Bold Titanium White for the doors and stuff. I'm not going to be using airbrush. I'm just going to be doing the good old-fashioned brush to get that on there. Have not found any sort of a white that works well through my airbrush. It always seems to clog up. I don't know what the deal is. I thin it out, do everything. Haven't got it to work. So if you have a secret for it, drop a comment and let me know. The rest of the car, after we tape everything off, is going to be going in on the Pro Acrylic Blue. Really good color for the Highway Patrol. So yeah, let's get this taped off and we will start throwing some paint. Alright, so we got the bases and everything all painted up. The doors turned out pretty good. The tape job wasn't too horrible. A little bit of touch-up work, but nothing major. Got some of the detail work done on the interiors. Got some silver and stuff painted. Just make it easier to do now than trying to do it a little bit later after we get them all together. Now, the wheels are going to be coming from, like I said, Angel of Combustion. The weapons I have are coming from Anvil Industries, so we're going to get those all based up in the black. But first, let's get these all together. Got some rams I'm thinking about for the truck, also coming from Anvil Industries. Not sure which one I'm going to go with, if I'm going to go with either one of them, but let's get it together and see how it looks, and then we will move on to the next step. Alright, so here we are, all together. Looking pretty good so far. I'm going to get on to the assembly and the weathering stage. Now I've got the light bars all painted up, and I use the same paints for the light bars that I'm going to use for the headlights and tail lights. And that is this MIG ammo metal acrylic color, red and blue. I use them for all my lights, headlights and tail lights. They just give it that sheen and it looks like the light's on and everything else. I just think it looks really, really good. So let's start getting everything together. We're going to get the Waterslide decals on there. Got some really big weapons and stuff going on. Chose this ram. It just looked more ugh. So let's get everything on there and then we'll start on with the weathering. Alright, so we got all the wheels and everything else going on. Looking pretty good. We're going to get the under coats painted up. But yeah, got a little bit of the detail work done, got some headlights and some turn signals and stuff going on. So next we're going to move on to the first part of the weathering. Going to use the old reliable Agrax on this, going to slather it over there and wipe it off just like I've done in some of the past ones. And then we're going to go on and get the weapons on there and the light bars on there and finally finish up with some of the water slides and then do the final weathering. So let's get the Agrax on there and then we'll move on to the light bars and the weapons. Alright, so here we are all weathered up and got all the weapons and RAM, the light bars and everything going on. Now we're going to move on to the water slides. Now, the water slides, like I said, are coming from Thomas Wynn Studios. He does a great job, has lots of really cool stuff. But I know what you're saying. Why didn't you put the water slides on before you did the weathering? Well, that's because they're going to be clear, and so whatever is going to be behind them is going to be showing through. So I wanted it to look like the whole thing was weathered. If I put the water slides on there first and then did the weathering, there'd be some patches of like the white or blue, or it looks cleaner, and I didn't want to do that. So I wanted to get it to looking so what the weathering stuff was showing through. So I got the police water slides going to be going on the Mustang. Police one's going on the truck, and then interceptor for the truck and the pursuit vehicle for the Mustang. So let's get the water slides on there, and then we will move on and continue with our weathering. Alright, so I got the first set of water slides on there. I got the police going on there, and the MFP, interceptor for the truck, all looking pretty good. Got the police and the MFP and the pursuit going on for the Mustang. Now I still want to put some identifier numbers on the top of the vehicles, and I just have like a pile of them, just so I don't want to try to figure out which number I'm going to put on there. I'm just going to stick them on there at random. But I want to kind of take you through the process of putting on the water slides, at least the way that I do it. So I cut the water slide out and obviously figure out where it's going to go, and then stick it in the water. Let's use these two, the first two numbers on the vehicles. And with these Thomas Wynn water slides, they don't take very long to come off of paper. So just let them sit in there for a few seconds, 5-10 seconds at the most, and then take them out of the water. And I like to dip them on the paper towel a bit just to get the excess water and stuff off of there, and then I just go ahead and just slide them on to the vehicle, or if you can't, slide them off of the paper. And I use some very fine tweezers, and then just get them on the vehicle, try to get them lined up straight, and we'll go on to the next one. And just continue this process until you have all of the water slides that you want on your build. And then I like to lightly coat it with the Technical Storm Shield, and that will protect your water slide. If you're doing other things with your build, whether it's weathering or anything else, you'll just kind of keep it in place and make sure it doesn't get bumped around, because that really sucks, especially if you only have one other water slide decal that you're working with, or none, and then you're kind of SOL. Alright, so then now we're just going to keep on getting these on here, and then I will show you how I do the Technical Storm Shield. Okay, now with the Technical Storm Shield, it's always important to make sure you're using a clean brush. I like to use a smaller one depending on the area I'm working in. And I'm just going to, for these ones, I'm just going to kind of dab it on. Sometimes I'll like brush it on kind of gently. It has to be really, really gently, because if there's a little bit of water underneath the water slide, it will move around and just kind of screw things up. So I'm just going to dab it on here, go around the entire thing. And once this dries, it's going to make it a heck of a lot more square. Yeah, see that 8's coming up, just barely, so make sure I get enough on there. And 7's a little bit wonky as well. So just kind of dabbing it on there. Try to get as many of the water, or the air bubbles, water bubbles, anything from underneath the water slide out that you can. Especially when you're working with, like on this one, where it's going over something. Really try to dab it so the water slide goes to either side of the whatever it's going over. 'Cause especially when you're weathering, it will come up when you're brushing anything else on there. So we're going to let all this dry, and hopefully everything's going to stay in place for me. And then we will continue on and finish up our weathering for this Highway Patrol build. Alright, now the final weathering step we're going to do before we start doing the dust on there is just going to do a little bit of the chipping using the MIG chipping paint. Always like to do the sponge method, at least until I find something different. So just get a fine sponge and dip it in there, get some of it off, so there's just a little bit on there, and I'm just going to dab it in the areas that I want to get some of the paint chipping going on. Not too much, just, you know, kind of on the sharp edges. You can get on the water slide, that way it looks like the water slide, you know, the paint froze on there from before and it's coming up a little bit, whether the vehicle's older, it's seen some years, seen some damage, whatever it is. Just get a little bit on there. Just so it's looking a little bit more Gaslands. On the top. Always like to kind of speckle it in there because obviously the paint's not just going to chip in certain areas, it's going to be a little bit all over the place. And it does not have to be precise whatsoever. That's one of the things I like about the sponge method, is that you can kind of do it all over, and it really adds a wonderful effect to it. Makes it look all weathered and wastelandy and stuff, and obviously doesn't require a whole hell of a lot of effort because you're just kind of dabbing with a sponge. Back. Yeah, and that's really it for, you know, the sponge method. I do this on a lot of my builds. Like I said, just because it's easy, it makes it look really good. Alright, I'm going to let that dry a little bit more, and then we'll get it all dusted, and this one will be good to go. Alright, on to the final step, just the dust. Again, aka interactive accumulated dust. Splatter effects, loving this stuff. Gives it that dusty effect, obvious. Always like to have a kind of a soft brush that I'm going to be working with for the dry brushing. Get some on there, and then just, it's going to be dry brush, so you don't want a whole bunch on there and just splatter it over. And I like to start at the bottom, that way I can kind of tell how much paint effect and stuff I have on my brush, so I don't screw it up the rest of the build right away. And since it's going to be coming through like it's driving front to back, the windshield, because the windshield's going to get all dusty and dirty. And then that's it. That's really all there is to it for the dust effect. Yeah. If you really want, you can, with the dusty areas on the windshield, you can kind of get a Q-tip and see if you can get some off, so it makes it look like, you know, the windshield wipers and stuff are going on, or at least trying to. There we go. Get a little more on our brush so we can do the truck. Make sure you get the entire wheel tire, because you're just getting certain parts of it. It'll look kind of silly if the entire wheel is not dusty. Keep hitting the camera. And that, my friends, is it. Get it all dusted up, and we are good to go with another Highway Patrol team for the Wastelands. Yeah, turned out really well. Like I said, I've done builds like this before, but really enjoy doing it. I like doing teams. I don't know why I don't do them more often instead of just doing the solo builds. But yeah, looking really good. So you know what? If you enjoyed this video, why don't you go ahead and hit that like button for me? That would be awesome. If you want to get notified when new content drops and support the channel, you can hit that subscribe. I would really appreciate that. But yeah, turned out really well and ready to hunt down some bad guys. Until next time, Gaslands NorCal, signing out.